Out we jumped in the warm, mad night, hearing a wild tenor man's bawling horn across the way going, ee-ya, ee-ya, and hands clapping to the beat, and folks yelling, go, go, go. And father escorting the girls to his place. Dean Moriarty was already racing across the street with his huge bandaged thumb in the air, yelling, blow, man, blow. And a bunch of colored men in Saturday night suits were whooping it up in front. It was a sawdust saloon, all wood. A small bandstand near the john on which the fellas huddled with their hats on, blowing over people's heads. A crazy place not far from Market Street. In the dingy Skid Row rear of it, Howard Street, Folsom Street actually, near Harrison, the big bridge causeway. Crazy, flopping women wandered around sometimes in their bathrobes, bottles clanked in alleys. In back of the joint, the dark corridor, beyond the splattered toilets, scores of men and women stood against the wall drinking wine spodioti and spitting at the stars. Wine spodioti being wine, whiskey, and beer. The beheaded tenor man was blowing at the peak of a wonderfully satisfactory idea. A rising and falling riff that went from Iya to a crazier Ilya and blasted along to the rolling crash of butt-scarred drums hammered by a big, brutal-looking goat-harnessed guy with a bull neck. He didn't give a damn about anything but punishing his tubs. Crash, rattle-tee-boom, crash, uproars of music. And the tenor man had it. And everybody knew he had it. And Dean was clutching his head in the crowd, and it was a mad crowd. They were all urging that tenor man to hold it and keep it with cries and wild eyes. He was raising himself from a crouch and going down again with his horn, looping it up in a clear cry above the furor. A 6-foot skinny woman was rolling her bones at the man's horn bell, and he just jabbed it at her, playing ee, ee, ee. He had a foghorn tone. His horn was taped. He was a shipyard worker, and he didn't care. Everybody was rocking and roaring. Our girls, Galatea and Alice, with beers in their hands, were standing on the chairs, shaking and jumping. Groups of colored studs stumbled in from the street, falling over one another to get there. Stay with it, man, roared a man with a foghorn voice, and let out a big groan that must have been heard clear to Sacramento. Ha-ha! Wow, said Dean. He was rubbing his chest, his belly, his T-shirt was out. The sweat splashed from his face. Boom, kick. That drummer was kicking his drums down the cellar and rolling the beat upstairs with his murderous sticks. Rattledy-boom. Big fat man was jumping on the platform, rhythm with sagging feet. Woo! And was only pounding the keys with spread-eagled fingers, chords only. At intervals when the great tenor man was drawing breath for another blast of phrase, Chinese chords, they shuddered the piano and every timber chink and wire. Boing! The tenor man jumped down from the platform and just stood buried in the crowd, blowing around. His hat was over his eyes. Somebody pushed it back for him. He just hauled back and stamped his foot and blew down a hoarse, bawling blast and drew breath. And raised the horn high and blew high, widely screaming in the air. Dean was directly in front of him with his face glued to the bell of the horn, flapping his hands, pouring sweat on the man's feet. And the man noticed and laughed in the horn, long, quivering, crazy moves, hee-haw, and everybody else laughed and made rock. And finally the tenor man decided to blow his top, crouched down and squatted on the floor and held a note in high C for a long time as everything else crashed along skiddly boom, and the cries increased, and I thought the cops would come swarming from the nearest precinct.